What's going on, everyone? This is Devin here at Anyone Outdoors. I hope the audio is picking up well enough. I'm kind of using a selfie stick here, but it's not exactly a selfie stick. But so we're out on a kind of a paved concrete walking trail, and today I want to get into the topic of basic rudimentary land navigation, like kindergarten level kind of stuff. For those of us that love bushcraft videos and outdoor content, especially like the ASMR type channels, they never really get into how they plan their routes. They don't really get into any kind of navigational anything here. So just off to my west here, the elevation picks up quite a bit. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to get back up there. All right, so this appears to be some kind of a footpath up here. So let's follow this up for a little while. All right, so I'm not at all sure if this is like an official footpath or not. Looks like at some point it was kind of heavily traveled. Again, sorry for being out of frame here. So what I'm going to do, I'm looking back down at the paved trail because I'm using that as what they call a handrail. So I'm going to stay parallel to that and find a westerly direction here and just walk dead west out into the woods. But as long as I can see that footpath, right now it's working as a handrail, but coming back it will function as a backstop. All right, so I see, for whatever peculiar reason, two chairs straight ahead of me, just randomly out in the woods. And so I'm going to use that as my point of westerly departure here. And so I'm going to get the compass out and we'll have a look at that. All right, so here's a look at the compass. We're set dead west, and that's where we're going to go. All right, so I'm going to walk back here, I guess roughly about 50, anywhere from 50 to 75 paces. So let's just keep walking here. I'm just checking my compass here. All right, so we're as far as I can go here. I'm not really clear as far as how out of sight I am for most people. There is a location here that's dead south. So I only walked about 15 paces west. So if I go maybe about the same 10-15 paces dead south, I can backtrack here and head back to the track. All right, so now we're just making our way down there to a more level area that there's sort of a depression down here that I think I can be pretty much out of everybody's line of sight here. And yeah, right here is a good spot. So I'm pretty low here. Lower might be a little better. There really isn't like a great perfect spot here, but this looks like about as good a spot as any to brew up a little hot cocoa. Okay, so I found a slightly better spot. If I rotate the camera around, I found like a little mound of dirt here to give me a little cover. So we'll go ahead and get started. So yeah, navigation. I am a total novice at navigation. All right, so we got fire. Let's make sure we got this level-ish. That's good right there. So yeah, navigation is an area that I really need some work in. You know, we all need work with these things. But yeah, you know, look, there are channels that cover navigation. It's not like no one covers it, but it's a topic that is just really easy to ignore, and kind of hard to practice without some specific guidance. You know, you've got pacing beads. You know, you have to know how many paces that it takes for you to get 100 meters, you know, and that's got to be averaged based on terrain and elevation and those kinds of things. You know, that's something that can be investigated, practiced, rehearsed, whatever you want to call it, again, without necessarily going on an overnight outing. Trying to find my spork here, but yeah, I would like to do another video sometime soon, getting a little bit back to the sheltering topic, but that's not a right now activity. So yeah, I mean, short term, or well, long term, because navigation, even just rudimentary, basic, elementary level navigation, could be a work in progress for some time for me. Where I'm at right now, again, I can't be very specific about it, but I have to be careful here. In fact, where I'm sitting right now, I'm looking straight at a stick that I used in my last video for a horizontal support, that would have been used for something like an A-frame or like a lean-to kind of thing. I literally walked right back to the same spot without even realizing it. I will say, I think this time I got back here a little more intelligently, and there are also some legitimate trail areas out here that I've not explored yet, and I think I may have been on part of that. But yeah, you know, as far as navigation, that is a huge topic that's going to take a lot of practice. So, you know, one resource that's free is the Google Earth app. I highly recommend that application, because there's a lot of options on there. You can plot points and measure distances between points, and you can look at an overhead view of a land area that you want to investigate, and really plot it out and know what your distances are going to be. One thing that I would like to do in the area that I'm in right now is do a perimeter walk at some point. I would just like to get out here and walk the perimeter. I think the perimeter plot that I had looked at put the the walk that I would do at about 1.3 kilometers. So it's a little bit of a walk. You know, I talked about I used the term handrail, I used the term backstop. Dave Canterbury covers that topic, as does the gray bearded Green Beret. There's also, you know, you've got a baseline and a backstop, and you've got handrails. So if you had a southerly baseline, basically kind of like your starting point, and a northerly stopping point, then you have your east and west handrails, just for a quick demonstration. So for example, if you're walking immediately along a land feature, that's kind of the same thing as baseline slash backstop. But for example, the paved walking trail that I was following getting up here, I was using that as, at the time I was using it as basically like a backstop baseline, but now that I'm some distance away from it, I can track along that same feature and it would be considered a handrail. You know, the difference between a baseline slash backstop and a handrail is basically just the distance in which you're using those features. So I would recommend you guys watch the videos by Dave Canterbury and the gray bearded Green Beret, and if I have a chance, I'll link those videos, because they do a way better job than I do at really parsing that out. So for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and enjoy some hot cocoa, because I'm skipping lunch to come out here and do this video. So this will be basically my lunch for today. This will be a lot better as the springtime comes up, whenever we get some growth and foliage back in the area. But I do enjoy the terrain features out in this particular location. It's just a little restrictive on what you can and can't do here, and so I'm going to continue to scout around here to see if I can find a more isolated spot where maybe I could get away with putting up a lean-to or something like that, just for video purposes, mostly to block wind noise. But there goes the water boiling. Turn that heat down a little bit, and so hopefully sooner rather than later we can get back out here and do some structural stick support structure, you know, shelter kind of things. I always appreciate it whenever you guys stop by, and keep an eye out for the next video. See ya.